Hello, I'm Molly Hughes in the Denver Post newsroom with today's Behind the Headlines. Victims of the Aurora Theater shooting have waited almost 3 years for the gunman to face a jury, and now the wait can be measured in hours. The trial begins on Monday at the Arapahoe County Courthouse. 12 jurors and 12 alternates were selected from a pool of nearly 9,000. They will hear evidence that has been kept from the public since that horrific day in July of 2012, when 12 people were killed and 70 were wounded. Jurors will decide if it is a case of calculated killings or an act of insanity. The case of the people of the state of Colorado versus James Egan Holmes will begin 1,011 days after the attack. Denver Post reporter John Ingold has been covering this story since the day it happened. He joins me now to talk about what we can expect on Monday. For starters, it has been a long road. What do you expect to happen on Monday?
Sure. So Monday is just the very first step in the trial, which is opening statements. So it's going to begin shortly after noon. Each side will get 2 hours, and they'll just get to lay out what their case is going to be for the next 4 or 5 months.
He's facing 166 charges. What exactly will the jury be deciding?
Sure. So those charges are 24 counts of murder, 2 for each victim, 140 counts of attempted murder, and then there's 2 kind of extra charges. One is possession of explosives for bombs that he's alleged to have had in his apartment. Another is a crime of violence sentence enhancement charge. So the jury will be, first of all, going through each one of those charges and deciding whether he is guilty of that. And then they will be deciding whether he was sane during that time. He has pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity, and in Colorado it's the prosecution's burden to prove sanity beyond a reasonable doubt.
And speaking of which, we've heard so much about these conflicting psychiatric evaluations. Will we finally learn what was in those and what was revealed?
Sure. Those have been kept out of the public so far. The idea was that the judge did not want the jurors to have heard anything about them before they heard about them in court. They're seen as being so critical to the actual outcome of the trial. So there's been 2 court-ordered psychiatric evaluations, and we expect both doctors who perform them will testify at trial.
We've also heard a lot about his journal that has also been kept, obviously from the public, but so much debate about whether that should even be allowed. Do we know, will that be presented?
We expect it will be, sure. So the notebook or the journal was something that he is accused of mailing, alleged to have mailed the day before the shooting to a psychiatrist at the University of Colorado. There was a lot of fighting over it early on in the case because the prosecution wanted it. The defense said that it was protected by doctor-patient confidentiality. In an insanity plea, though, you end up waiving that confidentiality. So it's expected that that's now been used to form some of the opinions in the evaluations.
I can only imagine the anticipation of the victims' families and the survivors. Any special accommodations for them during this? Sure.
Well, they have the ability to be in the courtroom, or they can have an overflow area where they can also watch via a closed-circuit broadcast feed. There's victims advocates who will be available for them, through those kind of services. They've had counseling that's been available to them. So I think they're kind of looking at the trial with, a bit of trepidation, a little bit of, I think maybe eagerness, a hope that this will bring justice for this event, that this will help provide closure, but also a lot of dread. There's been many of the survivors who have been subpoenaed. They have to get up, they have to testify about their injuries. It's sort of part of the legal process for establishing that a crime's been committed. But it's something that I know a lot of them are not looking forward to.
Have you talked to any of them recently and been able to?
A few, yeah. And it is just, kind of a mix of emotions. Sort of mentally they've been preparing for this moment for a long time, but it's just hard that it's now here.
Mm-hmm. How long do we expect the trial to last? I know the judge set the out date as an estimate of Labor Day. Reasonable? How does that work?
Yeah, it's really up to kind of the 2 sides as to how long the trial lasts. The judge can move it forward a little bit, as much as possible, but it's really about how much evidence they present, how much time they take up on cross-examination. So it's sort of expected that in the first phase of trial, that the prosecution's case will take 2 months, the defense's case will take 1 month. Then at the end of that, there would be closing arguments, deliberations by the jury to determine guilt and sanity. If they do find him guilty and sane, then it would move on to a death penalty phase, which could take another month or two.
Okay. John Ingold, your reporting has been absolutely outstanding on this.
Thanks.
I know you've been there since the very beginning, so the best to you as you move into this,
Sure.
really
Thanks.
what proves to be a marathon and very emotional. Thanks for being here with us.
Sure.
So John is one of a team of reporters we have covering this trial for the Denver Post. We have created a special website dedicated solely to this trial. We will carry a live video stream from the courtroom. You'll find profiles of the jurors, the lawyers, the judge, and the victims of this crime, plus constant updates from the courthouse, including live blogging. You can just go to denverpost.com to connect to that special website. And of course, we'll have video reports from Denver Post TV. It is truly a tragic story, as we all know, but one of great interest to our community, and we want to make sure we give you access to it. For now, I'm Molly Hughes in the newsroom with today's Behind the Headlines.